Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast, your weekly dose of many discussions and opinions, a show where we get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember, no topic is off limits. Now let's talk about it. Hey, we're back. Y'all know I had to start this off with some salsa. Y'all know y'all feeling this. Grab them dancing shoes and get ready for a fun holiday Latina episode. We in a Christmas vibe, holiday vibe. Yes, welcome back, guys, to another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast. And we are in the spirit of those of you who celebrate Christmas, okay? For some of y'all, it's just the holidays. For me, it's definitely Christmas, Navidad. And you guys already know, since day one, I am yours truly, Double Dose Miss D, your favorite host, 30-something-year-old Latina. Not 30-something, fuck that, 36 and proud, but a Latina nonetheless. And it's very vibrant, very outspoken since day one. And listen, y'all, it is like, I know it's crazy out there still, but do you guys realize that 2 years ago, a whole mess started in the entire world and holidays started to slowly become very sad. And although it's getting a little crazy again, I do feel more so in the quote unquote holiday spirit. And so I wanted to open up the vibe on this episode with some salsa of one of my favorite bands ever. If you guys remember a long time ago, when I was vibing it out on some of these episodes with some music, y'all, I was like in full bliss, just sharing with you guys some icebreakers. And one of the bands that I would constantly mention was El Gran de Puerto Rico, right? This is definitely a band that I, formed a huge part of my childhood, primarily because, my background with my family being here, immigrants, of course, and me being the daughter of immigrant parents, my dad used to accompany my uncle to DJ, amongst other things that they would do, right? They were involved in so many things as a form of revenue, I guess you could say, aside from their quote unquote 9-to-5s. Let's face it, in a factory. 38th and 8th. Shout out to those factory days in the leather industry. It wasn't really 9-to-5, but it's the best way I can paint the picture for you. And so my uncle and my dad were very much so involved in other matters, right? One of them was DJing, and they had a whole equipment, the whole nine, you name it. And so this was definitely part of me growing up. It was the music, right? La música. And it was the fact that my uncle and my dad had to become not only well versed in the music of what's in right now in New York City. We're talking the 80s, right? Prime of the 80s, for what's to the liking of the communities here and diversified Latino communities, right? But then also to still keep alive the culture of our own music back home in our motherland in Ecuador. And of course they used to do it with within our own community. But even within our own community, slowly but surely, there was families being created with other cultures amongst the Latinos, right? And so music was a key and very truthfully beautiful, loving component piece of my childhood growing up, learning of different musics. And when you think about growing up in New York City, right? Again, the daughter of immigrant parents, you think about shit that you carry with you that is being taught to you by your parents, which they don't know no better, right? You don't know at a very young age how to break certain things, right? Out of a vicious cycle. You don't know no better, period. You learn that later on in life. And then you have to learn other people's cultures. And as you continue to venture out here in New York City, the melting pot, you have to learn other people's cultures too and be in the ins and outs of, well, how they celebrate the holidays, right? And the type of music they listen to and the type of food, right? And so for me, salsa was a very huge component growing up, amongst other music too. You know, it was definitely always we kept very alive our cultural music. You know, salsa was definitely something that was very well known and listened to and heard in the streets of New York City, and us growing up in the Bronx, right? Your favorite Bronx girl here. And so when I think about the holidays today, right, when I think about preparing, by the time you listen to this, y'all, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Like, it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. That's it. And so, fun fact, Latino 101. Most Latinos like to celebrate Christmas starting on December 24th. Most of us do not believe in the whole Christmas Day, situation. We just don't. But most of us do begin on Christmas Eve, and we start the entire party with the food and the family. And so this is where this song means so much to me. So for those of you who are probably wondering, well, what's the name of the song? I'm totally going to link it in the show notes, but if you want to go search it, and I mean, if you're Latino, I'm sure you know exactly what song this is, but it's all right. We going to go ahead and just share it with y'all what it is. And that's that. It is La Fiesta de Pilito, and it is from El Gran de Puerto Rico. And y'all, it is by far one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, it's just such a vibe. And if you want me to translate it, because if you know me, if you know Misty, you know I'm going to translate exactly what it says. And so what he says in that song is, he's going to dance. And that's just a little portion right there. He's going to eat, and he's going to eat this, and he's going to eat that. So he mentions, we're going to eat pasteles. We're going to eat lechon. Lechon is a whole fucking pig, y'all. Like, we're going to eat, we're going to drink, we're going to dance. Like, it's a whole vibe. It's setting the tone of what Christmas Eve is going to be. That's what it is. And, well, at least Christmas Eve for me, for my family, right? It's a song that you can play during this celebration of the holidays, during New Year's, during any type of really celebration, to be honest. I mean, Latinos never shy away from playing the song, period, in any occasion. But for me, it's definitely a truthful memory and representation of some of the best holiday times for me growing up. And I wanted to open up this episode with that. I wanted to be able to share that with you guys and put y'all in a whole vibe. And I hope that y'all could, grab your little dancing shoes. Definitely go search that song, stream it. That's right. And get ready for what we're going to talk about. Because if you know me, let's just face it, there's always some shit to talk about here. Here, you guys already know we get real comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's always some things that we are going to be uncomfortable with to talk about. So if you heard all the rawness that I talked about in the last episode with my little bing bong, I touched a few topics there that not everybody likes to really discuss, likes to really open up the Pandora's box, right? Doesn't really like to face or admit to, in certain aspects of life, right? But there's another little side I want to talk about, and it's a little messy because people just don't like to talk about it. And again, this is not about making shit morbid, right? And again, this is not about making it a thing about, oh boy, here we go, we're gonna get all serious and shit. No, but it is something that we tend to think about, especially as we're closing out the year. And if you've heard some of my episodes, maybe like 2 months ago, starting since 2 months ago, I've been talking about Q4 and how Q4 is going to look like for me on a very personal level, professional level, spiritual level, emotional level, right? And all these different levels of what Q4 looks like, right? And then I realized the more I've been thinking about just really just sitting with this, being present in the moment, thinking about the holidays and how I'm switching things up this year, right? Here I am planning to spend Christmas with friends. Friends that are more like family. Shout out to my friends. And I'm not going to stay home to spend it with the family. At least that's still not the plan, right? The plan is to be able to do something a little different, right? And I'm going to dive into that a little bit in just a sec, right? But even then, even in doing something so much different from what my background says and my upbringing says and my culture says, right? There's other things that constantly come up towards the end of the year that a lot of us don't like to talk about and a lot of us don't like to face. And so very transparently, guys, the closing out of the year, right? you start thinking about, you start contemplating, and then you start, you know, just sitting with yourself about your life and what you've accomplished. And you start creating all these resolutions and these goals that we're going to touch up on that on next week's episode. So remember to come back. But have you noticed, and I mean, listen, this happens all the fucking time, right? Have you noticed that towards the end of the year, and then of course around the beginning of the next year, we tend to find out news on a very personal level and public level that some people start passing away, right? And keeping it all the way raw and a little messy, again, because I know some of y'all don't like to talk about this because y'all associate it with the whole, oh my God, like don't talk about that. It's about how crazy is it, the fact that we fear the very what should be natural topic of conversation when it comes to life ending and a closure to a full life lived, right? In some cases not. A little tragic, a little heartbreaking, a little sad, but it is a life ending because it is its time. And then we look at that and we look at, you know, those lives that are beginning, you know, when there's a new baby coming into the world, right? I think about that, right? And ever so often, I remember growing up, and ever so often I think about it now, that little myth, that little shit. And I don't know if it's just in the Latino community, right? I don't think so. I think it's like a worldwide myth, but it's definitely something that stays with me, with my culture and my upbringing. Oh, death comes in threes, right? And so on a very public note, right? On a very public note, here I am, and I'm already seeing on the news, it's the month of December, and I'm already seeing certain people have died. And I'm talking about, you know, public people, public figures, singers, actors. Like, there are people who are, to some, complete idols. To some are complete idols. People that they look up to, people they adore. And I started to think to myself, oh my God, I realized I've always been one of those people who has focused more so on the, oh my God, death comes in threes and it's the end of the year. And oh my God, we're celebrating the holidays and we're celebrating with family and we love each other and blah, 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 blah. But then ever so often in the back of my mind, I've always thought to myself, fuck, somebody's going to die. Fuck, it's gonna happen. Damn, death comes in threes. Shit, if I hear one person dies, damn, then the next one's gonna come. And that always usually happens towards the end of a year and or the beginning of the following year. Like, there's just this moment when it just comes in that one wave. And it's something that I've actually feared. And the truth is, the more I sit with myself, right? And the more I think about this, I realize that focus has taken us away from the ability to sit there. And yes, whether it's been of natural causes or it's been because of an unfortunate, tragic situation, right? And I get that 100%. But we focus so much on the, how did this happen? Why did this happen, right? We focus so much on that. We forget to sit there and really cherish what that person was in life. We forget to live that moment and that joy when we see a new life coming to be. We forget to really sit there and say, holy shit, this is just life. This is just how it goes. This is just how it works out. You know, and I've thought about that more and more from, you know, a very Latina holiday rawness perspective. That there's some real fucked up upbringings that I've had that I've been able to love and enjoy, but then they're just like really fucked up ones. And I think this mindset is one of them. It's the mindset of not discussing the ending of something, just focusing on let that pass. Don't talk about it, right? And let's just look at what's ahead. Let's just skip it. Let's skip that entire piece, that entire part. Let's dwell on the why did it happen, the how did it happen, and let's just look forward, right? I think about other traditions, and I mentioned this in the last episode, and I want to dive into this, right? Because again, I'm bringing y'all the raw mess of some of the dumbest fucking shit that may have possibly or could have possibly been said in a moment that is supposed to be about tradition, or in a moment that we picked the wrong time to discuss certain things, right? When in reality, we should be able to talk about all this shit, and it shouldn't just take a holiday to do so, right? It shouldn't, but it all relates to it. So I mentioned before about the 12 grapes. Do you guys remember that? I think you do. If you've been listening to this episode, you know I've always mentioned about the 12 grapes. And that one usually happens at New Year's. Now remember, next week for New Year's Eve special episode, we're going to dive into resolutions. But I do want to touch base on the traditions, right? On this shit with the 12 grapes. And I think about that too. And I think about those people who are getting ready to welcome a new year and how they may have had not such a positive year and it was probably mostly negative, or fucked up shit may have happened to them, or those people that right in the middle of the fucking holidays, the shit hits the fan and something bad happens, right? And I remember while eating grapes, I remember the year that I became a single mother. I remember how unhappy I was, how miserable I was, how sad I was because of the backstory, the why. The why did this happen to me? The how did I get here, right? And I remember it being the holidays, and I remember it being me and my son. And I remember just how devastating it all felt to me. And I remember that I decided to skip out on the holidays. Once the gifts were open on Christmas Eve, I went across the hall to my apartment and I didn't even say bye to my family, and I fell asleep and I put my son to sleep. On New Year's Eve, I didn't even wait till that ball drop. I didn't even eat 12 grapes. I didn't want to know nothing about no one. I grabbed my son, went across the hall, fell to sleep with my son. And I was completely miserable. And all I wanted to do was to see the following year come in. And it's that same mindset. I just want this year to be over. I'm so over this year. Oh my God. Again, focusing on all the negative. Oh my God, this has been so horrible. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. But no, I regret so much today having skipped out on that very miserable, negative, heartbreaking, devastating, depressing year to me. Not because of what happened, because believe you me, it is the best thing that could have possibly happened to me and my kid. And we are very good today. It was because I fixated so much on the why and the how. And I missed out on a comer pastel, a comer lechon. I missed out on my family. I missed out on my friends. I missed out on drinking my coquito, my glass of coquito. For those of you who don't know what that is, stay tuned. I'm going to post it for y'all so y'all can see. I missed out on my dancing shoes. Like, I missed out on dancing. I missed out on so much because my focus was on the wrong shit, as opposed to really growing up in a space where I should have been very comfortable being uncomfortable and normalizing shit like death comes in threes, like shit sometimes just happens towards the end of the year, like you don't let that shit fuck up your entire year, like you keep it moving, you still go ahead and dance, you still go ahead and live, you don't let things like that bring you down. I realize more and more that just because that happened to me that particular year doesn't mean that negativity and that mindset was not around me. I remember there were other family members who went through shit and they would be there crying their eyes out, eating through those 12 grapes, just saying, oh, I just want this year to be over. Like it would be in like the next 10 minutes. And then it hits 12 and nothing has changed. Like nothing has changed at all. You know what I mean? To me, when I think about what I've designed for myself today, what I think about, and listen, I know what this title says. I know what this title is vibing with right now. And I purposely titled this episode like that because who Miss D is today at 36 versus what the holidays look like for her at 26, y'all, is a huge difference. It's a huge ass difference. And I'm able to sit very comfortably in my home, my safe haven, with my very out of the ordinary Christmas homage decor, which is not a Christmas tree this year. No hay ningún arbolito this year. Absolutely not. I wanted to really vibe it out and do something so different. I wanted to close out Q4 knowing that yes, I have family and yes, I'm going to love them, but I don't always have to spend every holiday with them. I can still Spread love, spread cheer, vibe it out with different people and be joyful. And that doesn't mean I love anybody any less. I grew up in a culture that always told me that Christmas and New Year's is always for your family. You don't go nowhere else. And I get that. I get that. But we got to be very comfortable in discussing shit that we've grown up in that has made us uncomfortable to even think about doing. Oh, God forbid you don't spend it with your parents. Oh, God forbid you don't spend it with this person. Y'all, shout out to y'all who are married and y'all got to share holidays. I still don't know how y'all do it. I haven't had to do it in a very long time and I don't envy y'all. But like, there's just so much that I realize more and more that a lot of our culture, and whether it be a Latino culture, Caribbean culture of other kinds, or all sorts of different cultures, they center so much on having these rules, right? On not discussing these myths, on focusing so much of the why did this happen and the how did this happen, as opposed to just doing your own thing, as opposed to just doing what makes you happy and how you want to vibe it out and what makes sense to you. It doesn't mean I love anybody any less, y'all. I'm still drinking my coquito. Well, I'm drinking my coquito in my house or downstairs with my parents or at my friend's house. I still love everybody the same. I'm still in the same spirit. My dancing moves don't change. My feet are still going to hurt at the end of the night. I'm still going to eat all the food in the damn world. And I know my food and health coach might listen to this. And it's okay because I do portion control now. But I'm still do it. I'm still be in that joy, in that vibe, in that fiesta de Pilito. Whether it's here, whether it's wherever. But y'all, we need to normalize it. We need to normalize being able to talk about so many end of year things, end of year topics that in a nutshell, we tend to carry with us so heavy that if it doesn't work out how we want it to the entire fucking year or just Q4 alone, well, we are really hard on ourselves. We really are. We carry that burden into the following year. We focus so much on resolutions instead of creating New Year goals. Fuck a resolution. We're going to go into that next week. Don't forget to come back. On this little episode, that's a whole fucking party. I wanted you guys to come here, to vibe it out with me, to be in a whole mood, to dance a little bit. Hey. Because this is what your girl's gonna be doing. I am absolutely thrilled. The holidays are here. Let's touch on the music, right? Growing up Latina, it didn't go beyond Jose Feliciano, Feliz Navidad. You already know that one. Cueing that song right now. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. It didn't go beyond that, to be honest with y'all, because if you used to put Channel 41 or, you know, Univision or Telemundo, Channel 47, that's exactly what we'll be playing during the holidays. It didn't go beyond that, right? Growing up Latina in this beautiful city of New York. But it also, I didn't have your traditional Christmas songs. I didn't even have your traditional New Year's Eve songs. I really didn't. I didn't grow up that way. There's actually a New Year's Eve song that my dad would always play when it was coming close to 12 o'clock midnight. And that song was actually very, very sentimental. It just stays with you. So for me, right, whether it's Jose Feliciano or, you know, El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico, or plenty of other music, even in my beautiful country, my motherland, Ecuador, other songs too that are so amazing for the holidays in general. It's not your typical "We wish you a Merry Christmas." It's not your typical jingle bells. It's not none of that. That stuff I learned in school. But in this very Latina driven and upbringing culture of mine, Latina and Latino, I should say, I grew up a little differently. And I welcome you to join me on this little festivity of a party here on Double Dose of Raw Talk with your favorite host, Miss D. Vibe it out, play your favorite songs. Yes, reflect. Yes, know that as this year ends, there are many other things that will end. There are many other things that will have its closure. And then just like a new year is right around the corner, a new beginning, there is going to be new life and new purpose and new goals. That there are going to be tough conversations to be had, and then there's going to be easy conversations to be had. That there are going to be things that as we continue to embrace a new calendar year of life, right? Not a birth year this time, but a new calendar year of life, that there are certain things that continue to level up and grow along with us. And some of those things are tough conversations. And some of those things are doing things completely different. And some of those things are breaking cycles and changing up a little bit your tradition. That's what it's really about. But do it. Do it. Y'all, we just survived. This is officially going into 2 years of a pandemic where loss has been a topic that has hit us so fast and furious, so hard, has dimmed lights, Christmas lights too, New Year's Eve lights. It has done turned the world upside down, and plenty of us still have a hard time talking about it. But we got to. And we got to figure out a way to still live life to the fullest. And on that note, guys, we wish you here on this platform a very beautiful Christmas Eve, Christmas holiday. You guys can hear my smile through the mic. I promise this coquito is going to be a hit. This has been another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I'm your host, Misty, and you guys will tune in next week. Bye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and we are live on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Make sure to tell a friend to subscribe, rate, and review. Talk to you later. Bye.